Welcome to History Uncovered, where we delve into the stories and events that have shaped our world. If you're a fan of history, be sure to hit that subscribe button below. We release new videos every day, so you'll always have something new to discover. By subscribing, you'll be the first to know when our latest episodes are released, and you'll be supporting us in our mission to bring fascinating stories from the past to a wider audience. In this episode, we journey back to the heart of the ancient world, to the grandeur and might of the Roman Empire at its zenith. We will be exploring the life and reign of one of its most controversial rulers, a figure whose name has become synonymous with excess, madness, and absolute power: Caligula. Caligula, a name that resonates with tales of opulence, unpredictability, and sheer audacity. An emperor who, in just 4 short years, left an indelible mark on the annals of history. His reign, punctuated by grand spectacles, shocking decisions, and a series of events that blurred the line between genius and insanity, has been a subject of debate and fascination for centuries. From the majestic corridors of the Palatine Hill to the bustling streets of Rome, we will trace the footsteps of this enigmatic emperor, peeling back the layers of rumor and legend to reveal the man beneath the imperial laurels. Was he truly the mad tyrant as often portrayed, or a misunderstood visionary? So, prepare yourself as we embark on this captivating journey into the life of Caligula, the boy born Gaius, who would rise to become an emperor whose name would echo through eternity, for better or for worse. Born in the coastal town of Antium on August 31 AD 12, Caligula was the third of 6 children to Germanicus and Agrippina the Elder. His lineage was nothing short of illustrious. His father, Germanicus, was a grandson of the famed Mark Antony, while his mother was the granddaughter of the first Roman emperor, Augustus. This made Caligula a nephew to the future emperor, Claudius. In his early years, Caligula's life was marked by military exposure. As a toddler, he joined his father on campaigns in the northern regions of Germania. Dressed in a scaled-down soldier's uniform, complete with the signature army boots known as Caligulae, the troops affectionately dubbed him Caligula, meaning little boot. Though this nickname would stick, it said he grew to resent it. Tragedy struck early for Caligula. At the age of 7, his father, Germanicus, died under mysterious circumstances in Antioch. Some, like the historian Suetonius, suggest that Tiberius, seeing Germanicus as a rival, had him poisoned. Following this, young Caligula's life became a series of moves from one guardian to another as political tensions rose. His mother fell out of favor with Tiberius, leading to her and Caligula's brother, Nero, being banished on charges of treason. Caligula himself was shuffled between family members, living with his great-grandmother Livia and later his grandmother Antonia Minor. The years that followed were no less tumultuous. His brothers faced accusations of treason, with Drusus imprisoned and Nero meeting a tragic end in exile. Caligula and his sisters, under the watchful eyes of soldiers, were essentially Tiberius prisoners. By 31 AD, Caligula was relocated to the island of Capri, under Tiberius' direct supervision. Many expected the worst for him, but surprisingly, Tiberius spared him. Observers noted Caligula's uncanny ability to mask his true feelings, leading one to comment, "Never was there a better servant or a worse master." Caligula's relationship with Tiberius was complex. He once contemplated avenging his family by assassinating Tiberius, but refrained at the last moment. Despite this, Tiberius seemed to have a certain trust or perhaps a morbid curiosity in Caligula, even naming him an honorary quaestor in 33 AD. During these years, Caligula made strategic alliances. He married Julio-Claudia, though she tragically died in childbirth. He also befriended the influential Praetorian prefect, Naevius Sutorius Macro, ensuring he had powerful allies in high places. By 35 AD, Caligula's position was further solidified when he was named joint heir to Tiberius' vast estate. On March 16 AD 37, just a day before the Liberalia festival, the Roman Empire witnessed the end of Tiberius' reign. Whispers spread throughout Rome that Caligula, possibly with the help of Macro, had hastened Tiberius' death by smothering him with a pillow, a claim supported by historians like Suetonius and Tacitus. Yet, contemporaneous writers like Philo and Josephus argue that Tiberius meant a natural end. Regardless, within 2 days, the Senate ratified Caligula's leadership, and he was hailed as the new imperator. Tiberius' will, which named 2 heirs, was soon declared void, with claims that Tiberius had been of unsound mind. The world watched as Caligula ascended the throne. He was hailed as the first emperor to be universally admired, from east to west. His popularity stemmed from being the cherished son of the beloved Germanicus and, quite simply, for not being Tiberius. The beginning of his reign was marked by jubilation. Suetonius recounts a staggering 160,000 animals sacrificed in 3 months to celebrate the new emperor. Philo paints the first 7 months of Caligula's reign as a golden era. Generosity marked Caligula's early reign, though many actions had political undertones. He doubled the legacy left by Tiberius for each praetorian and granted bonuses to troops both within and outside Italy. The Roman populace was treated to lavish games and distributions. Caligula's ambitions were grand, with plans for monumental building projects on the Palatine Hill and beyond. To solidify his bond with the aristocracy, Caligula made symbolic gestures. He publicly burned Tiberius' confidential papers, asserting he hadn't read them. He championed the rule of law, streamlined court proceedings, and even refused the title paterpatri due to his youth. Emphasizing his lineage from Augustus, he personally retrieved the remains of his deceased family for burial in the mausoleum of Augustus. His family, including Claudius, received political and priestly honors, and work began on a temple dedicated to Livia. However, those who had been in Tiberius' inner circle faced Caligula's wrath. Gemellus was forced into suicide, while Tiberius' ally, Marcus Junius Silanus, was executed. Even Caligula's friend, Macro, met a tragic end. These actions hint that Caligula might have taken a page out of Tiberius' playbook. Historians have often tried to divide Caligula's reign into phases of benevolence and brutality, with potential triggers being the death of his sister Drusilla in AD 38 or his own illness in AD 37. During his illness, Caligula named his brother-in-law, Marcus Aemilius Lepidus, as his heir and even married him to Drusilla. Rumors swirled about the nature of their relationship, with ancient sources suggesting they were more than just in-laws. Following Drusilla's death, she was deified, further cementing Caligula's complex and often controversial reign. In 38 AD, Caligula turned his gaze towards political and public reform. He took the unprecedented step of making public the accounts of state funds, a transparency not seen during Tiberius' reign. He emerged as a benefactor, assisting those who suffered property losses in fires, abolishing certain burdensome taxes, and generously distributing prizes at public events. He also expanded the ranks of the equestrian and senatorial orders and, in a significant move, reinstated the practice of democratic elections. While the masses celebrated this decision, Cassius Dio noted that the more discerning were concerned, fearing that if power returned to the masses, chaos might ensue. However, Caligula's reign wasn't without its dark moments. He faced criticism for his swift and often unjust executions and for compelling his praetorian prefect, Macro, into suicide. By 39 AD, the empire was grappling with a financial crisis, with some historians like Suetonius suggesting its onset a year earlier. Caligula's lavish spending, political payouts, and grand gestures had depleted the state's coffers. In desperate measures to refill the treasury, he resorted to false accusations, hefty fines, and even executions to confiscate estates. He sought public loans, imposed taxes on a range of activities from legal proceedings to weddings, and even began auctioning the very lives of gladiators. Wills that favored Tiberius were conveniently reinterpreted to benefit Caligula, and centurions were coerced into surrendering their ill-gotten gains. Suetonius claims that within just a year, Caligula had squandered an astonishing 2.7 billion sesterces, a fortune amassed by Tiberius. Nero, his nephew, was both awed and envious of Caligula's ability to deplete such vast wealth in so little time. However, some historians question the veracity of these figures. Wilkinson argues that Caligula's consistent minting of coins suggests the treasury might not have been entirely bankrupt. Alston further supports this by pointing out that Caligula's successor, Claudius, was able to generously reward each member of the Praetorian Guard shortly after taking power, hinting at a solvent treasury. Yet, the empire did face a brief period of famine. While the exact cause remains debated, Suetonius blames Caligula's commandeering of public carriages, while Seneca suggests it was due to Caligula repurposing grain boats for a personal project. Even amidst financial strains, Caligula's reign was marked by ambitious construction projects. While some were for the public's benefit, others were unmistakably for his personal glory. Josephus credits him with significant harbor improvements in Rhegium and Sicily, which facilitated increased grain imports from Egypt, possibly a response to the famine. In Rome, he completed the Temple of Augustus, the theater of Pompey, and initiated an amphitheater near the Septa. The imperial palace saw expansions, and he embarked on the construction of the Aqua Claudia and Annio Novus aqueducts, which Pliny the Elder hailed as architectural wonders. Caligula's architectural endeavors weren't limited to Rome. In Syracuse, he renovated city walls and temples. He envisioned new roads and emphasized their maintenance. He harbored plans to rebuild Polycrates' palace at Samos, complete the temple of Didymi and Apollo at Ephesus, and even dreamt of founding a city in the Alps. One of his most audacious projects was a floating bridge from Baiae to Puteoli, spanning over 2 miles. Donning Alexander the Great's breastplate, he rode his horse, Encitatus, across this bridge, defying a prophecy that he'd no more become emperor than cross the Bay of Baiae on horseback. 2 colossal ships were constructed under his orders, discovered at Lake Nemi in the 1930s. The smaller served as a temple to Diana, while the larger was a floating marvel with marble floors and advanced plumbing. Tragically, these ships were lost to a fire during World War II, though many of their treasures are preserved in museums. However, Caligula's relationship with the Roman Senate soured by 39 AD. The reasons remain speculative, but the Senate's autonomy during Tiberius' absence and the aftermath of Tiberius' treason trials played roles. Caligula, distrusting many senators due to their actions during these trials, initiated a fresh wave of investigations. He replaced the consul, executed several senators, and humiliated others. This strained relationship led to multiple conspiracies against him. By autumn, he claimed to have unearthed a plot involving his heir, Lepidus. Following this, military forces were amassed in Upper Germany, leading to the execution of its governor, Gnaeus Cornelius Lentulus Catulicus. Lepidus faced execution, while Agrippina and Livilla, accused of involvement, were exiled. In 40 AD, Caligula set his sights on Mauretania, a client kingdom of Rome under the rule of Ptolemy. In a sudden and unexpected move, after inviting Ptolemy to Rome, Caligula ordered his execution. Following this, he annexed Mauretania, splitting it into 2 provinces, Mauretania Tingitana and Mauretania Caesariensis, divided by the Malua River. While Pliny attributes this division directly to Caligula, Dio suggests that a rebellion in 42 AD, quelled by Gaius Suetonius Paulinus and Gnaeus Hosidius Geta, led to the eventual division. This discrepancy might hint that while Caligula initiated the division, it was postponed due to the uprising. The exact reasons behind the Mauretanian events between 39 to 44 AD remain shrouded in mystery, with an entire chapter by Cassius Dio on the subject now lost. While some argue that Caligula's annexation was driven by personal motives, particularly his distrust of Ptolemy, others believe it was a strategic move. The earlier rebellion of Tacfarinas had exposed the vulnerabilities of Africa Proconsularis, making Caligula's expansion a possible safeguard against future threats. Caligula's ambitions didn't stop there. He contemplated extending Roman dominion into Britannia. For this purpose, he raised 2 legions, likely named Primigenii in honor of his newborn daughter. While ancient sources paint Caligula as either too fearful or too unstable to launch an attack, tales of his threatening decimation suggest possible mutinies. The reasons for not embarking on the invasion remain speculative. It's possible that British chieftains complied with Rome's demands, eliminating the need for conflict. Some suggest it might have been a mere training or scouting mission, or perhaps a brief expedition to accept the surrender of the British chieftain, Adminius. Suetonius even claims that Caligula ordered his troops to gather seashells, possibly a mistranslation implying siege engines. The dream of conquering Britannia would eventually be realized, but under the reign of his successor, Claudius. In a display of grandeur, when various client kings visited Rome and engaged in debates about their noble lineage, Caligula, drawing from Homer, proclaimed, "Let there be one Lord, one King." By 40 AD, Caligula's policies began to blur the lines between divinity and governance. He started making public appearances donning the attire of various deities and demigods, such as Hercules, Mercury, Venus, and Apollo. He didn't stop at mere costumes. He began addressing himself as a deity in political gatherings and was even occasionally documented as Jupiter in official records. His divine aspirations were further cemented with the establishment of a sacred precinct dedicated to his worship in Miletus, located in Asia Minor. Back in Rome, not one, but two temples were erected in his honor. The Temple of Castor and Pollux, situated in the heart of the Forum, was directly connected to his imperial residence and was dedicated to his persona. On special occasions, he would grace this temple, presenting himself as a living god to the Roman populace. In a move that was seen as audacious, Caligula ordered the decapitation of various god statues across Rome, only to replace their heads with his own likeness. Rumors circulated that he desired to be venerated as Neos Helios, the new sun. This claim finds some support in Egyptian coins where he was depicted as a sun god, though this interpretation remains debated. Caligula's religious endeavors marked a significant departure from the practices of his predecessors. While Cassius Dio notes that living emperors in the East and deceased emperors in Rome could be revered as divine, such acts were considered extreme. Augustus, for instance, occasionally allowed the public to worship his spirit, but such acts were rare. Caligula, however, took divinity to a new level, demanding even the Roman senators to venerate him as a living, breathing god. During his reign, Caligula faced a series of riots and conspiracies in the eastern territories. Assisting him in these endeavors was his close ally, Herod Agrippa, who was appointed governor of Britannia and Trachonitis in 37 AD, shortly after Caligula's ascension to the throne. The eastern tensions were multifaceted, stemming from the spread of Greek culture, the imposition of Roman law, and the rights of Jews within the empire. Caligula harbored mistrust towards the prefect of Egypt, Aulus Avilius Flaccus, due to his loyalty to Tiberius and his involvement in plots against Caligula's mother. In 38 AD, in a surprise move, Caligula dispatched Agrippa to Alexandria to monitor Flaccus. This visit, as Philo recounts, was met with scorn from the Greek populace, leading to citywide riots. Caligula's response was swift. He removed Flaccus from power and had him executed. In a twist of political intrigue in 39 AD, Agrippa accused his own uncle, Herod Antipas, the ruler of Galilee and Perea, of plotting a rebellion in alliance with Parthia. Upon confession, Herod Antipas was exiled, and his territories were handed over to Agrippa. Tensions flared again in 40 AD in Alexandria, with Jews facing accusations of not venerating the emperor. In the city of Jamnia, a clay altar incited the ire of Jews, leading to its destruction. In a provocative move, Caligula ordered a statue of himself to be placed in the sacred Jewish temple of Jerusalem, challenging the core tenets of Jewish monotheism. Philo remarked that Caligula viewed the Jews with deep suspicion, seeing them as potential adversaries. The governor of Syria, Publius Petronius, wary of a potential civil war, delayed the statue's installation for almost a year. It was Agrippa who eventually persuaded Caligula to rescind the order. However, Caligula, undeterred, issued a second directive for his statue's placement in the temple. As preparations were underway in Rome, a massive gilt brass statue of the emperor was crafted for this very purpose. Yet, fate intervened. As the ship transporting the statue sailed towards its destination, word of Caligula's demise reached them. Consequently, the statue never found its place in the temple. Caligula's reign is often depicted through the lens of his alleged madness and erratic behavior, as described by contemporaries like Philo and Seneca the Younger. They paint a picture of an emperor who was not only self-absorbed and quick to anger, but also one who acted on his whims, often with deadly consequences. Tales of his indiscretions include boasting about his affairs with other men's wives, killing for sheer entertainment, and recklessly depleting the state's coffers on projects like his infamous bridge, which reportedly led to widespread hunger. His penchant for cruelty was further highlighted by a chilling episode during a game he presided over. In a fit of boredom, he allegedly ordered an entire section of the audience to be thrown into the arena to be devoured by wild beasts, simply because there were no prisoners available for the spectacle. Later historians, Suetonius and Cassius Dio, while echoing these accounts, added more layers to Caligula's purported madness. They spoke of incestuous relationships with his sisters, Agrippina the Younger, Drusilla, and Livilla, and even claimed he offered them to other men. Rumors of affairs with various men, including his brother-in-law Marcus Lepidus, also circulated. Among his more bizarre actions, he's said to have dispatched troops on pointless military exercises, transformed the palace into a brothel, and in one of the most infamous tales, considered or even promised to appoint his horse, Incitatus, as a consul, even assigning a priest to serve the animal. However, it's essential to approach these accounts with caution. In the Roman political landscape, tales of madness and sexual deviance were often intertwined with narratives of inept governance. The challenge lies in discerning historical fact from political propaganda. Caligula's reign was marked by his severe treatment of the Senate, nobility, and the equestrian order. This harshness, as described by historian Josephus, led to numerous plots against the emperor. However, it was the officers of the Praetorian Guard, spearheaded by Cassius Chaerea, who eventually orchestrated Caligula's downfall. The tension reached its peak when, in 40 AD, Caligula announced his intentions to leave Rome and establish himself in Alexandria, Egypt, aspiring to be worshipped as a living deity. This potential shift threatened to render the Senate and the Praetorian Guard powerless, intensifying their desperation. Chaerea, along with co-conspirators like Marcus Vinicius and Lucius Annius Vinicianus, accelerated their assassination plans. While Josephus attributes Chaerea's motivations to political reasons, Suetonius offers a more personal angle, Caligula's continuous mockery of Chaerea, belittling him with names like Priapus and Venus due to his perceived effeminate nature. On January 24, 41 AD, as Caligula engaged with a young acting troupe beneath the palace, the conspirators struck. Led by Chaerea, they ambushed and stabbed the emperor, drawing parallels to the assassination of Julius Caesar. By the time Caligula's Germanic Guard reacted, the deed was done, leading to a chaotic aftermath where both conspirators and innocents were slain. Interestingly, in 2008, archaeologists uncovered the underground corridor where this assassination took place. In the wake of Caligula's death, the Senate attempted to reinstate the Republic. However, the military's loyalty to the imperial monarchy remained unwavering. The assassins, sensing the lingering support for the monarchy, took further action, brutally killing Caligula's wife, Caesonia, and their daughter, Julia Drusilla. In the midst of this chaos, Claudius, Caligula's uncle, was discovered hiding behind a palace curtain. With the backing of a faction of the Praetorian Guard, he was whisked away to their camp and later emerged as the new emperor. While Claudius extended a general amnesty, he did execute some of the conspirators, including Chaerea. Suetonius notes that Caligula's remains were temporarily placed under turf before being cremated and interred by his sisters in the mausoleum of Augustus. Tragically, during the sack of Rome in 410 AD, the mausoleum was desecrated, and Caligula's ashes scattered. Caligula's reign remains one of the most enigmatic and debated periods in Roman history due to the scarcity of reliable contemporary sources. The primary records that have survived are the works of Philo and Seneca the Younger. Philo's writings mainly discuss the plight of the Jewish community under Caligula, while Seneca offers scattered insights into the emperor's character. Notably, Seneca narrowly escaped death by Caligula's hand, possibly due to his ties with conspirators. Several historians from Caligula's time penned detailed accounts of his reign, but these have unfortunately been lost to time. These historians, such as Fabius Rusticus and Cluvius Rufus, are believed to have had biases either overly critical or excessively praising of the emperor. Fabius Rusticus, a friend of Seneca, was known for his tendency to exaggerate, while Cluvius Rufus was directly involved in Caligula's assassination. Agrippina the Younger, Caligula's sister, wrote an autobiography that likely provided an in-depth view of his rule. However, this too has been lost. Agrippina had her own tensions with Caligula, having been exiled due to her affiliations with Marcus Lepidus, a known conspirator against the emperor. Furthermore, Caligula seized the inheritance of her son, Nero, who would later become emperor. The poet Gatulicus wrote several pieces praising Caligula, but these have not survived. Most of our understanding of Caligula's reign is derived from the works of Suetonius and Cassius Dio, written decades after Caligula's death. Cassius Dio's account is particularly valuable as it provides a rough timeline of Caligula's rule. Other sources, like Josephus, Tacitus, and Pliny the Elder, offer limited insights into specific aspects of Caligula's life and reign. For instance, Josephus provides a detailed account of Caligula's assassination, while Tacitus sheds light on Caligula's life under Tiberius. The limited and often biased nature of these sources has left significant gaps in our understanding of Caligula's reign. Many events, such as the annexation of Mauretania, his actions in Britannia, and his conflicts with the Senate, are only partially understood. Interestingly, legend suggests that during his military campaigns in Britannia, Caligula developed a fondness for European sea eels, leading to their Latin name, Colubra caligulensis. This anecdote, like many others about Caligula, underscores the challenges in separating fact from fiction when it comes to this enigmatic emperor. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the enigmatic reign of Emperor Caligula. The tales of his rule, filled with intrigue, power struggles, and legendary anecdotes, remind us of the complexities of history and the importance of discerning fact from fiction. Thank you for watching this episode of History Uncovered. If you found this video informative and engaging, please like and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating stories from the past. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications so that you never miss a new video. Until next time, keep uncovering the stories that made our world.